Hello there, I'm Michael1916, also known as John on the internet. Today we're doing a Brawl deck tech for Kaalia Zenith Seeker, and the deck is called Sacrificial Seeker. The deck is based around the sacrifice concept, with things that both trigger it and benefit from it. So we're going to start off with our sacrifice outlets and creatures. With Priest of Forgotten Gods, Kroxa, Plaguecrafter, Cauldron Familiar, Farika's Libation, Blood for Bones for reanimation, Woe Strider for scry triggers, Doom Foretold for extra sacrifice outlets, Rankle to make our opponents also sacrifice things, Bantu for a late game big swing on sacrifices, and Liliana Dreadhorde General for an incredible advantage for our sacrifice triggers. Then we have the things that benefit from these things. So Judith Scourge Diva, Nightmare Shepherd, and Cruel Celebrant to ping our opponents, bring them down, and to get us copies back to continue our sacrifice plan. Our next category is Advantage, for which we have Tajik, Aurelia, Chance for Glory, Villis. These are all things that just help us get ahead, even if it's just a small pump from like Tajik with its Mentor trigger, or Aurelia pumping up one of our creatures and leaving up a blocker in its place. Just things that help swing the game to our favor. Next we have our removal in the form of Kaya's Wrath, Justice Strike, Angrath's Rampage, and Oath of Kaya. The Angrath's Rampage kind of fits into the slot of sacrifice as well, because it forces our opponent to sacrifice something, but it's also just a specific targeted removal that we want. Semi-targeted, as it were. Next we have bodies in Angel of Grace, Seraph of the Scales, Spawn of Mayhem, Feather, and Embodiment of Agonies. And to some extent these have some advantage for us, whether it be extra spell casting off of Feather or some triggers off of the Spawn of Mayhem. Embodiment coming bigger for all the stuff we've already sacrificed and put into the yard and hopefully recurred earlier in the game with our Nightmare Shepherd. And then for the mid to late game, we have Ethereal Absolution and Outlaw's Merriment. We also have the Parhelion for the late game, making some bodies, being a big thing that can be crewed very quickly off of tokens if need be after a board wipe. Making sacrificial fodder, making bodies to block with, pingers, making our opponent's creatures smaller to make it easier to survive. And next we have our land base, with a couple of shocks in the form of Blood Crypt and Sacred Foundry, and Godless Shrine. We have a couple of gates, a couple of temples, 2 mountains, 6 plains, and 6 swamps, as well as a command tower, just to make sure. I'd like to thank our editor, Decrepit Sundew 3, and our co-creator, GameJester, who will be making this into a 100-card EDH deck after this.